Good afternoon, Sir Randy. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. We apologize for the late because of the internet connections.
Hi, Sir Randy. Good
No
afternoon.
worries, sir. Hi, Sir Randy. I'd like to introduce to you to PageGroup. So they are our partner for today's Masterclass.
Hello po, how are you?
Sir,
Welcome to any
good afternoon.
Ma'am Sharon Santos.
Yeah.
Hi,
Good afternoon, sir.
Sir Christian Saroca. Are you guys in Manila or abroad?
I am based in Cavite, sir. and the rest are
I
based in Manila.
apologize. We're having problem with our PLDT connection. Eh. Is Dr. Bulisay already logged in? I think.
I'm here, Sir Randy.
Oh, good for you. Been looking for you all day.
Same.
Once again, everybody, happy Friday. Once again, everybody, happy Friday, and welcome to our Masterclass session, Career Paths and Skills for Tomorrow with PageGroup. I'd like to thank you for joining us today as we explore how to prepare for the future of work and build a meaningful, future-ready career. From PageGroup, my name is Sam Cruz, and I'll be guiding you today through this session. With introductions out of the way, here's what's in store for everybody. Today's masterclass is designed to help you understand the emerging trends in shaping the job market, identify high-demand skills employers are looking for, explore different career paths, and learn how to position yourself for long-term success. This session is proudly brought to you by PageGroup, a global leader in recruitment and talent solutions. To officially begin our program, we would like to invite our opening remarks speaker. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Sharon Santos, Candidate Sourcing Manila SSC Global from PageGroup. Ms. Sharon, go ahead.
Hi, thanks, Sam. Thanks, everybody, and happy Friday. I'm very excited to be here. And first of all, I would like to thank you for joining us today. And to the participants, to the students, I would like to congratulate you in advance on your graduation. I know you're so close to the finish line. Probably you can smell the toga fabric already. So I'm really excited to welcome you to this very first online masterclass that's brought to you by PageGroup in collaboration with none other than the Wadhwani Foundation. So we're very excited because today in this session, this is where we're going to talk about something that every graduating student probably or eventually would panic about, which are career preparation and CV writing. But don't you worry because, PageGroup, Wadhwani, we're not here to stress you out. In fact, we're here to help you answer questions that, probably keep graduates awake at night. Is my CV too empty? Do internships count? And of course, the classic, what do I put under skills aside from Microsoft Word? So this afternoon, feel free to ask anything, drop your questions in the chat, or even share your fears because you know what? We've all been there. So please, let's make this fun and helpful and make this session worth your time. So again, thanks everybody, and let's go. Thank you.
All right, yes, I fully agree with Ms. Sharon. Graduating can be daunting and often it's a scary time. But once again, thank you so much, Ms. Sharon, for your warm and welcoming opener. To continue, we are honored to hear our welcome message from one of our key partners in today's event. Please join me in welcoming Professor Randy M. Banez, Director, OJT and Career Development, Center of NEUST. Professor Randy M. Banez, the floor is yours.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Again, I apologize for um, the internet connection. I hope you bear with me. See, I could not anymore. There. Now, on behalf of the Nueva Ecija University of Science and Technology, particularly the Office of the University President, we welcome you all to this important gathering, the master class on career path and skills for tomorrow. We are here because of our work, one where adaptability, human-centered skills, and lifelong learning are no longer optional, but essential. As educators, we play a critical role in preparing our students, not just for the jobs of today, but for the careers and opportunities that are emerging or waiting for us in the future. This collaboration with the Wadhwani Foundation as well as the Page Group is so meaningful. It's been very helpful to us as educators. Your mission has enhanced the employability and nurture the talent of our students, which strongly aligns, no, with the NUST's commitment in molding the graduates who are industry ready, globally competitive, future focused. We thank you all for sharing with us your expertise, resources, and passion for developing 21st century skills for our students. To our participants, your presence today speaks volume about your dedication for professional growth. By strengthening your respective soft skills, communication, leadership, collaboration, resilience, we set the tone for the kind of learning environment we want our university to be known for and for our students to experience. Through this masterclass, may you gain new insights, refine your approaches, and strengthen your capacity to guide everyone towards meaningful, future-proof career paths. As we begin this training, I encourage everyone to stay curious, stay open, and fully engage in the process. The knowledge we gain today will not only benefit us as educators of today, but will ripple outwards to our classrooms, students, and the communities that we serve. Once again, on behalf of President Rodolfo R. Hugo, Vice President Feliciana P. Jacoba, I welcome each and every one of you. May this masterclass inspire, empower, and prepare us for the skills of tomorrow. Thank you and magandang araw po sa ating lahat.
Once again, that was Professor Banyas. We hear the care you have for these students in your message, and I'm sure that everyone is quite eager to learn and be equipped for the future. Now, we move on to the overview of the Wadhwani Skilling Platform features, where we'll learn more about the platform's forums, events, masterclasses, and Alumni Connect. To walk us through these key features, please welcome Ms. Maya Rosales, Senior Program Manager of WSN Philippines. Ms. Maya, please go ahead.
Thank you so much for the introduction. So good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Maya Rosales, and again, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our partners, PageGroup and NEUST, for hosting this first ever masterclass with Wadhwani. So very timely because we will soon be launching what we call Wadhwani Connect. So it is the human service platform of Wadhwani to help you connect to employers, to your careers, etc. So we are your career success partner. So we have 6 engagement channels to guide you, our dear students, through every step. So we have prepared various engagement channels that we want to share with you, and the goal of which is to help you climb your ladder of success. Okay, so what are those? Our goal primarily is to help you stand out among other candidates, and at the same time we want to lead you to various industry connections. So that's why a lot of our team is here to help you in your career growth, and also to help you with your resume and interviews, etc., and to help you, be boosted in terms of your confidence, and to again provide mentorship and industry insights to help you advance your career. Okay, so we have 6 engagement channels. I'll breeze through this because I want to give more time to our partner. So we have Expert Connect, Employer Connect, Mentor Connect, Alumni Connect, Faculty Connect, and Learners Connect. So that's under the Wadhwani Connect engagement platform. Okay, so all of these are accessible through your platform. So if you are signed in as a learner, access to this lifetime. So even after you're done with your JobReady courses, you can still participate in these various channels. So Expert Connect, like this one, okay, this is our live master classes by industry professionals. So thank you again to PageGroup. So in industry experts will cover about workplace communication, career growth strategies, leadership, personal branding, even AI skills, etc. So the benefit is that you will have direct industry insights into the workplace, and it will help you accelerate your learning even after you're done with your studies. Okay. The next one is called the Employer Connect. So this one is a monthly podcast with our partner employers. Okay, so Miss Tina is here, so she'll be the one actually to spearhead this. So watch out for this. So we will feature various industry leaders, and they will also share with you inside scoop about career opportunities in their respective companies. Okay. And then we have the Mentor Connect. So we will soon be launching this. Our target is on December. So it's a one-on-one career body mentoring wherein this person already experienced uh, applying for a job, creating a resume. So it's more of your uh, big brother, big sister type of service, no? So wherein this person will help you with your resume, for example, and give you interview tips, help you prepare for your interview, etc. Okay, and this again, this is everything is for free. You don't have to pay a single cent for this as long as you're still connected to the platform. Okay, so don't forget your password. I know some of you used your NEUST email address and it's coterminous when you grab it. As long as you don't forget your password, you can still access the platform. Okay, but I suggest even after you graduate, you will still maintain your account, so you will have access to this. Okay, the next is the Alumni Connect. So this one, we would like to feature successful alumni of the program. So they will share about their first wins, their breakthroughs, even their setbacks and rejections. Okay, so so the goal of which is for them to inspire you, no, and at the same time provide practical tips in job hunting. Okay. And this one is for our faculty. So I'm so happy we have faculty here from NEUST. So we also, will be providing Faculty Connect for our teachers. So these are quarterly sessions on soft skills and AI integration because a lot of you requested for that to boost your teaching quality and of course to prepare your students for the world of work. Okay, and last is the Learners Connect. So this one, it's like your collaboration session, but you will be working with other learners from across the globe or from different schools. So this is also a fun part, no? Wherein you will get to work or attend a collaboration session with students from other universities here and abroad. Okay, so this is pretty exciting. Okay, so that's it, no? So we want you to, again, we encourage you to explore the platform, attend the different forums, attend all the master classes that are applicable to you, and you also get certificate from attending these various services. Okay, so congratulations, and we wish you all the best.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Maya, for the informative overview of the Wadhwani Skilling Platform. These initiatives are golden with Wadhwani Connect, their engagement channels, and how accessible it is for the students, even beyond. But before we dive into our main activities, let's take a quick moment for session expectation setting. We want to hear from you. What do you hope to learn or achieve in today's masterclass? So if you're on Zoom, type your expectations in the chat box. Think about your career goals, skills you want to develop, or any questions you'd like answered today. This will help us make the session more interactive and tailored to your needs. Take a minute to share your thoughts, and I'll read out some of them before we move on. Go ahead, don't be shy. Do we have any takers? Don't worry, it can be about anything but the career for the future, anything that we can help answer. Right, exactly. If you guys can see in the chat box, Ms. Christelle has already put, what do you hope to learn or achieve through the masterclass session? So if you guys have any expectations, go ahead and send them over. If you guys didn't hear me a while ago, so this session right now We want to hear from you. So, what do you want to learn or achieve in today's masterclass? If you are on Zoom right now, type your expectations in the chat box. Think about your career goals, skills you want to maybe develop in the future, or any kind of questions you'd like answered today. Okay, we have our first question from Ian Patrick Suleiman. What tips or roadmap can you provide to help fresh graduates to create a more competitive resume and portfolio? Hmm. We have another question from RB Bulaklak. What specific skills can we expect to develop and master through this masterclass? Okay, all right. Yeah, we'll be answering these questions later on, so just keep sending them over. Um, yeah, don't be shy. Thank you. Thank you for participating. Right. Yeah, as I said, please keep sending them over, and we're going to be addressing them uh, towards the maybe after the sessions that we're going to have. Okay, great. Thank you. It's pretty fantastic to see so much excitement and curiosity. So we only have two for now, but I'm sure it's going to pile up even more later on. So as of this moment, I'd like everybody to get ready for session number one, strategic career planning. In this session, we'll learn how to navigate your career path with confidence, set clear goals, and make informed decisions about your future. I'm thrilled to introduce our speaker, Mr. Christian Saroca from PageGroup, who will lead us through this dynamic and insightful session. Let's give him a warm virtual welcome. Mr. Christian, over to you.
Thanks so much, Sam, and everyone. Thank you so much for taking time in this masterclass session. So, good afternoon, everyone, and I hope that everyone has already had their lunch. So, we're gonna have an insightful session today. So, it's a pleasure to be speaking with you guys, students of NEUST. So, for today's talk, we'll be talking about something that affects all of us, really. It's our careers. So it's your future, it's your choice. So the decision is, and the decision that you make now will shape opportunities that you will have for tomorrow. So it's actually past lunch. So I'd like this session to be as collaborative as possible. So please feel free to engage in the comment box or the chat box and participate in our talk. We'll be giving away page perch to our lucky student participants at the end of the session. So I hope to hear from you guys. Now, before we start, maybe I'd like to hear from you guys. How do you feel about graduating? So it's only just a few months time. So in one or two words or three, I'd like you to share how do you feel about graduating. So I'll give you a few minutes and I'll read some of them. So yeah, please feel free to share your thoughts. hmm So
Well, while we're waiting,
anyone from you
Christian,
guys?
do you remember the time when you were graduating? Do you remember what you felt like during the time?
Of course, quite nervous, I would say. The job hunting prospects,
Yeah.
those are just some of the uh, exciting at the same time, uh, nervous times of my life as well, post graduation. So, how about you guys? Can I hear from anyone or what they're, feeling at the moment? Mm-hmm. Okay, so okay, I got from Vince. He's excited and scared. That's totally normal, and yes, I completely agree. So I hope that in today's session will help you feel more prepared as you embark on your career journey. So definitely that's one of our objectives. Now, moving on. So for our agenda today, uh, we will be discussing about why career planning matters, industry insights, and future jobs. Uh, Considering working away from home, uh, jobs by field of study, and your degree. And after these discussions, then we'll have a Q&A for you guys, and I'll go ahead and answer some of your questions earlier on as well. So, um, give us just a sec. I'm not sure if the presentation is up. There you go. Thank you so much, Thea. So there you go. Thea, if you could, yeah. All right. So yeah, I think we've already covered the agenda. Moving on to the next slide, please. All right, there we go. Okay. So now why career planning matters. So career is not equal to just earning money. So guys, why do you think is that? So I'd like you to think of two things. Okay. So one is a career, and then there's a job. So career, think of career as your long-term journey. So it's your journey of professional growth and development in your chosen field. So it could be tech, IT, healthcare, it's your chosen field and it's your long-term journey towards it. Now, job specifically is your employment. So it's your short-term journey. It's focused on your income. It's focused on acquiring specific skills so that you could grow into your career eventually. So, career planning isn't just about earning money. It's about finding your purpose and growth. And now, to find that, of course, a great career combines three things. So that's the interest, your skills, and your opportunities. So once you have those, then you would have a career match. Now, but we need to identify those right skills, where we have great interest in, and of course, there are plenty of open opportunities. So once we align those, definitely the work becomes more meaningful. So as they said, meaningful work isn't just about earning a living, but it's about creating a life that feels worth living. So perhaps you'd be interested in, you're a creative person, and then that's your main interest. So if that's something that you're interested in, then maybe there are opportunities for creatives, like in digital marketing. So you might want to pursue that. So it's, having that perfect career match. So moving on. So what should I choose? So that begs the question. So as you can see here, you have the remote control. So you control the TV. So it's really just like watching Netflix. So you have so many movies and series to choose from. Sometimes we just doom scroll and browse through all the catalogs of movies and series, feeling unsure of what to watch. It's a same in real life, like looking at all those jobs. you are uncertain. So those feelings are perfectly normal. So similarly, you might feel unsure, uncertain about your career, but you have to ask yourself, so what do you enjoy the most? So for Netflix, do you enjoy watching K dramas? Do you watch animes, thriller movies, rom com? Maybe that's those are the things that you like. So in your professional journey, it is very much the same. So you have to ask, what do you enjoy the most? Do you like helping people? Then perhaps pivoting to healthcare might be good for you. So, are you a creative person? So perhaps marketing might do its way. Or do you love working with people? Maybe HR would be a great fit for you. Or do you love working on field or going outdoors? Maybe the industrial or construction industry is something that you should explore. So, those are just some of the things that you need to consider when planning for your careers. So it's similar to project management. So I believe most of you guys have had a project management subject. So we have four main phases. So that's in the initiation, the planning and scheduling, executing and monitoring, and then finally closing. So likewise in our career, it's important to first initiate, identify and study what could be your prospects, and then plan your career or your journey overall. So yeah, moving on. Now, considering work away from home. So, you know what, guys, sometimes the best opportunities are not in our hometown. So, like, for example, in Nueva Ecija, you would have to go to big cities, and likewise in Cavite as well. So, I would have to sort of, go to the big cities in Makati or in BGC. So, the prospect of moving to the metro or even abroad, can open the doors to higher paying jobs and new experiences. But we have to consider three things. So, what could those be? So, number one is, of course, your cost of living versus the salary. Now, uh, supposing, for example, in your role as a fresh grad, you would have a salary of 15K in Nueva Ecija. Then in Metro Manila, there might be a 20K offer or 25K. You might have, that's a huge that's a significant jump, but you would have to check first, is this going to uh you know be enough to or will it suffice for the cost of living? You would have to pay rent, you would have to pay for food, laundry, and of course, other personal expenses. So you would have to take that into consideration, and also the accommodation options. Will you be staying in a dorm? Will you be renting an apartment? Would you share apartments with friends? And then finally, your support system as well, since you'll be, you're renting an apartment or a dormitory. It's going to be your home away from home, so you need support system. You need to have friends, or do you have family in the metro, or maybe communities that you belong to? So those are just some of the important considerations when looking out for opportunities as well. So moving on. Now, uh, moving on to the next slide. So while we wait, um, the next slide is really just about discovering your super skills. So everyone has a mix of their strengths. Now, some of the students might have, academic strength. So these are the achievers, dean's listers, those with Latin honors. Now, that's one of some of the strengths, but also there are other strengths. There are people who are creative, who are social, who have practical intelligence. So these are all different types of strengths that you can use as your superpowers. So remember that your academic performance will only be relevant in your first job. So it becomes less and less relevant as you gain experience. But what do you need to do with those, your experience? So you have to make sure that your job is something that aligns with the journey that you wanted to pursue. So you have to make sure that it aligns with, you know, the career map that you made. So you wanted to excel in, say, the tech industry. So you wanted to make sure that your first job is, something that would give you the right skill set to really progress into that field. So that's, um, you know, a key takeaway in terms of your super skills. Now, what are these skills that matter the most, especially for employers? So one of them is problem solving. That's a very important skill. So also you have to have adaptability, then creativity, and then communication. So communication is definitely important. You need this, especially in communicating with your stakeholders. Critical thinking. So some may say these are quite the vanilla skills that people are looking for, but yes, they're quite common, but sometimes they're not. So critical thinking, and then technical skills, very much so. So now, um, I want us to have a bit of an activity. So in the chat box, if you guys could please share with me, if you had to choose a skill or one super skill that will help you succeed in your career, what would it be? I'd like to hear from you guys, what skill you wanted to have. So you can type it in the chat box. I'll wait for maybe a minute or two to see what types of skills maybe you're looking to get. So yes, I see from Christine creativity. Yes, that's good. hmm So from Vince, it's critical thinking and tech skills. Yes. Now, don't limit yourselves with what's in the screen, okay? So there are a lot of skills. Please, you may share them if you think that they're gonna help you. Some may say, data analysis. That's a very important skill. It's a transferable skill in a lot of industries. So it's just not in tech. It's just not in finance. It's everywhere. We have project management. Project management is everywhere. So those are, just some of the skills that are very important that's transferable as well to various industries. Right, right. Any more from you guys? John Andre says critical thinking. No more? Okay, fair enough. So, Thea, moving on. All right. So now leveling up for your skills for the future. So, I'm sure most of you, if not everyone, has or a lot of RPG games. Think of yourself as the in-game character. So that's you right there. So you need to level up your skills to clear the game's content. So likewise, in real life, we need to level up our skills to grow and develop. So, Thea, if you could expand the slide. So as I mentioned earlier, you have to think of yourself as the in-game character. So if you have to level up those skills. So these skills grow through practice and opportunity. So they're not just grade, but grades are one part. But then of course, you have to level up other skills as well. So what could those be? So by joining school organizations or competitions, you level up your skills in leadership and team collaboration. So by doing online courses or tutorials, you have a lot of skills like tech, digital, and creative skills. Now, side hustles, volunteering, These are real world experiences. So you have negotiation skills, networking, budgeting, even. So a lot of real world skills are in play. Now, also asking for feedback. Now, this is actually very important. You have to ask feedback from your mentors, your professors, the leaders, in your group, so that you are self aware. It's very important that we improve our self-awareness. So that means that we know where we lack and where we excel. So these are very important skill sets, especially for hunting for new opportunities. So guys, you have to understand that it's not just about creating that beautiful CV, which we'll be delving into in the next session. That creating well-crafted CVs, that's just one part. It's actually quite the small part. Now, once you have your CV created, now the next part is, of course, impressing the hiring managers. So it's important that you are aware of your skills. They are all leveled up, and you have to clear the game content, so you have to make sure that your skills are all appropriate. So that's really the key takeaway right there. So yeah, moving on. So the future is digital. Now 85% of new jobs by 2030 will require digital skills, so that's according to World Economic Forum. Now 70% of the Filipino youth are already using technology daily. So you already have a head start. Now, just to share, back in our days when we first had our job hunting, I'm sure most of our uh, professors here could, relate to, is that we had to make our CVs. Physical CVs. We have to print them and then have to apply to organizations manually, go to the offices, and then send over our CVs. So now the tech is to everyone's advantage. You guys have a head start. You even have AI. Use it to your advantage. Okay. So 3.2 million tech jobs are expected to be created in Southeast Asia alone by this year and in the coming years. So yeah, going forward. Now, what's hot and what's not? So, what are the jobs of the future? Now, jobs of the future would include, a lot of it will be related to tech and IT, a lot of software developers, cybersecurity, data scientists, healthcare, and wellness. Now that our mental health has taken a highlight most recently, and which is good, that people are becoming aware that mental health is no longer that the taboo topic, or that's not being cast aside. So healthcare and wellness are one of the hot jobs out there. Digital marketing, it's the age of social media. So there's a lot of content creation going on, social media managers. It's not just limited to influencers. So there are a lot of jobs involved around the marketing space, and also green energy or the renewables. So there are a lot of opportunities out there. Now, jobs that are fading away, these are actually quite important. So especially for the students. So as you may see, repetitive manual labor is now fading away. Basic data entry, traditional banking roles. So, what do these jobs have in common? So, what do you think, guys? Maybe I'd like to hear from you guys. Can you type it into the chat? What do you think would be the the common denominators of these three types of jobs? Can I hear from you guys? Well, maybe I'll do I'll give it a start. Okay, okay. RB says it takes a lot of manpower. Now that's right. Takes a lot of manpower. That could be one of the reasons as well. Anybody else have So, hmm. So okay, RB says that it takes a lot of manpower. So that's actually correct. It takes a lot of manpower, but now that's the reason why the tech industry is taking over those jobs because it takes a lot of manpower. It takes a lot of the safety. It takes the safety is the issue. So they are replacing the people with technology these days so that see how the factories are being replaced, the factory workers are being replaced with robots. So what do you think would be the common denominators of those three? So the common denominator is that these jobs are menial jobs. So they are actually quite simple jobs, and AI and tech are taking over. So for us to excel in the future, we have to make sure that we are well equipped with various skills, skills that will help us, solve complex problems. That's the key takeaway. That we need to make sure that we are well equipped to solve complex problems, complex issues. But thing is, AI will never replace humans. So I guess that's at least in the foreseeable future. So that's one thing that you can take. I know that with the key takeaway is AI won't completely replace us, but up until such time that AI will be accountable for their own. So that's the key difference that artificial intelligence can't be held accountable. So these AI, people are saying that AI will replace our jobs. No, that's not completely true. AI can't be held accountable, and they're not capable of complex problem solving to the point that um, they can't handle certain ambiguities that humans can handle. So their critical thinking is they can't go beyond algorithmic logic. So that's essentially why. Now, moving on. Now, I'd like you guys to think, so if money and grades don't matter, so which job would you choose? Now, if money is not an issue, if grades aren't an issue as well, what do you think would be the career path or the job that you would choose? I'd like to hear from you guys, being the graduating batch. Um, tell me more about what do you want to pursue? Should money not be an option? So maybe you can chat it in the text box. Vin says fashion, arts, and films. That's great. Actually, there's a lot of money in there. Animator says Edmar. Right. It's actually a very good career to pursue, but has it takes a lot of effort. You know how animators are all overworked and underpaid. Anyone else from you guys? RB says, an explorer of lost ancient cities is fun. That's a good one. Actually, if well, I would say if money and grades um won't matter, I would want to be a historian or an archaeologist. It's fun, but there's not much money in it. So yes. Oh, okay. Christine says theater. Efren says vet. A novelist since Renzel. So these are all really, um, you know, um, wonderful jobs to choose. So it's possible that you guys can pursue these jobs. Um, and some students would say that, oh, I did not study this and study that, so I can't pursue this. No, that's actually not true. What it takes is only to master the skill sets that are needed and then definitely you can pursue those. We'll still pursue IT, says Aaron. That's good. All right. So, moving on. So, here are just some key takeaways from our discussion today. So, your strand, or in this case, your degree, is just your starting point. So, this is not your final destination, guys. So, if you took maybe at at this point in time you're thinking, oh, I should have pursued med, I should not have pursued business. There are still ways, or there's still hope for you to pursue med. And now the world is changing. So be adaptable, curious, and bold. So be curious, guys. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Be courageous. So don't worry about it. If don't think that your questions are dumb, ask your mentors, ask your professors. So they're always there to help you out, in terms of, you don't have clarity on this specific skill set. You want to improve this, maybe your skills, your public speaking, your leadership skills. Ask for help from your mentors or your teachers or your professors. You have the power to shape your future. So, guys, the only, I guess, hindrance for you to not have the future that you want is if we don't really take action. That's really it. That's uh the hindrance from getting from one step to another. So take action, and if you want to have that career that you have in mind, then go take action and find steps and ways how you can achieve it. And this is the right start. After your graduation, think about it, write your career path, plan it accordingly, and then that's it. So, thank you guys. I think that's the end of our session today. I'd like to know if you have any questions. So this is the part that you have, that I can answer them for you. Do you guys have any questions? So maybe we can go back to the questions from earlier. So I'll get back to Ian Patrick's question from earlier. So what tips or roadmap can you provide to help fresh graduates and create a more competitive resume or portfolio? So for this one, Ian, you can take a look at your activities. So if you are a stellar academic performer, you can showcase your academic success. That's for sure. And then you can also highlight your co-curricular activities. So if the job is looking for a leader, leadership qualities, definitely those are something you could highlight. Uh, your communication skills. If you have had, you can showcase situations where you showed your communications at, in school, public speaking. Those are just ways that you could showcase that on your CV. And these are things that matter. HRs, as recruiters, these are things that we definitely read. So you feel free to highlight those as well, you know. And any other questions for today? What specifics? So one from RB from earlier. What specific skills can we expect to develop in this masterclass? Now, um, in this masterclass, we don't really have any specific skills that but instead, this is the objective of our masterclass is really to let you guys know, right, that uh, let you guys know that after graduation, there, this is just the start of your journey, and do not be afraid to to make mistakes, since it's better to have mistakes at the onset, and have them corrected. So guys, that's really you getting that skills right and perfected for your future. So, any more questions for today?
It doesn't look like
Uh,
there are any questions right now, Christian, but I'm sure that if they have any questions more along the way, or if they think of any, we can always go back and answer them.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much again, everyone,
Thank
and
you, thank you.
good luck. Thanks,
All
Sam.
right. Thank you. Once again, that was Mr. Christian Saraha from PageGroup. And I'm sure we were able to pick up a few things from your insightful session on strategic career planning, how careers are different from jobs, the things that need to align for a career match, or what skills are needed for which job. Because of this, I'm sure everyone now has a clearer idea of how to navigate their career paths and are much more emboldened to chase the future they'd love to live. I know some of you already have some questions in mind, but may just be shy to type them in the chat box. But don't be. We'll be dedicating time for an open forum later after our second session where you can ask anything, clarify points, and get personalized insights from our speakers. You can even type them right now. So as the session goes along, you can type your questions and we can go back to them later, as mentioned a while ago. But with that being said, up next, we have session number 2, CV writing excellence. In this session, we'll learn how to craft resumes that stand out, highlight your skills effectively, and are tailored for specific industries and roles. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Steph Pertasha from PageGroup, who will guide us through this practical and highly valuable session. Ms. Steph, over to you.
Thanks so much, Sam. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks so much for joining today's session on the CV Writing Excellence. So, once again, my name is Steph, and I'm honestly very excited to share with you practical tips to help you craft a CV that would hopefully help you after you graduate college, something that would help stand out, open doors, and new opportunities as well. So, essentially, the session for today is going to be designed to give you a lot of actionable insights that you can definitely apply immediately. So, just to give you a quick snapshot, to view what's in store for our session, we'll touch a little bit on the agenda. So, up on our agenda, we're going to have how to get you an interview, understanding how to create impactful CVs, identifying key points in your CV, as well as understanding why CVs are important. Okay, so why does your resume matter? Let's start this session off with a very quick question, and feel free to type your answers in the chat box or you can unmute yourself as well. But I'm quite curious to hear when you hear the word resume or CV, what are the things that come to mind? So maybe just a short phrase or even one word answers would do. Yeah, quite keen to hear what's on your thoughts in the chat box. Okay, so I can see for Ian, for him, a resume would give you a quick overview on what you can offer. What about for the others? Okay, very interesting answer from RB also. It's a mirror of who you are. Okay, so while we wait for the other answers to come in, I'm glad to hear that we have thoughts on resumes being a mirror of who you are. Of course, pointing the obvious, it does give you a quick overview on what you can offer to employers or recruiters. So I know for some people, it might also come across as perhaps maybe a list of jobs, or as fresh graduates, maybe a list of internships, projects, experiences, or even when it comes to grades. But definitely, it's something that's more than that. So, very much in line with RB's thoughts, it's your story, essentially. So, it's a journey of who you are, what you've been through career wise, and I guess achievement wise. So, looking at the bulleted outline on this slide, So your resume is a personal brand. You can think of it, I think the best way would be an analogy would be like a billboard. Let's say a billboard along NLEX. You see a lot of billboards along there. You guys have gone through EDSA, the stretch of EDSA. There are quite a lot of billboards showing different advertisements. And with all of that, all of those messages you see across, what would make you stop and really look at the billboard, try to see what brand is being advertised? It's the clear message, your strong visuals as well as relevance. So your resume definitely acts as a personal branding tool. Definitely, it makes a strong first impression on your recruiters and employers. And like those billboards, your CV should essentially do the same for recruiters. So it gives you a snapshot of your achievements. So your academics, internships, projects, and even your extracurricular activities. So as you gain those experiences, your CV should essentially grow with you as well. Of course, after college, I'm sure a lot of you would be entering into different um, career paths, different jobs. I saw earlier a bunch of you mentioned you wanted to pursue something in IT, or some of you even want to become novelists, veterinarians. So once you get to those career milestones that you have, definitely it's something that you should also be adding to your CV, sharing those experiences and outlining those responsibilities that you have. So these strong resumes could definitely be the difference between getting noticed and getting overlooked, especially in the competitive job market that we have. So we've covered a little bit more on, of course, why it matters. But I do also want to touch on how it looks. So we'll move on to font and theme. So your resume definitely should look very clean and professional. Think of it kind of like those PowerPoint presentations in your classes. So I'm sure with a bunch of classes that you guys have had, when your professors present with you a clean, organized PowerPoint, it's a lot more enticing to look at. And I'm sure a lot of you also pay more attention to those classes. But if your professor shows you perhaps maybe a cluttered, hard to read slide, then chances are you're going to zone out. And not going to lie, of course, recruiters could also feel the same way if they see a messy CV. So they review hundreds of resumes for the same position. And if yours gets to be a little bit confusing, difficult to read, or the format itself is something that would take them, a lot of time to try to decipher, they're not going to spend those extra minutes trying to figure it out. Highly likely they will move on to that next resume that they have on their pile. So best way to convey these messages would be, of course, as you can see on the slide, for fonts, best would be to use your Arial, Calibri, Helvetica, Georgia, and Cambria. Why? Because these fonts are very easy on the eyes, easy to read. Um, Font size as well matters. Size 12. Of course, we don't want to miss out on opportunities just because your recruiter or employer couldn't read the information you're trying to convey. So font size, keep it at 12. Keep it clear and clean as well. Make sure that your resume is simple and avoid overly fancy or decorative styles. So be sure to also please check on grammar, spelling, because the last thing that we'd want is for the first impression of you to show very weak communication skills. And finally, personalize your CV based on the job you're applying for and who will read it. So your CV isn't really a one size fits all. So maybe right now, I saw that Aaron mentioned he wants to pursue something in information technology. So of course, what you're going to include in your resume or CV would be experiences that also relate to information technology. So try to check in and see what exactly is it you're applying for. If you can cater your CV to match the job description, some of the responsibilities present there. Definitely add those to those bullet points. Try to check and see as well who is the audience you're catering to, how many pages. So I know a lot of us would probably have a lot of experiences as well throughout um, career, or perhaps even in school, you've joined a lot of organizations, a lot of projects, internships. But we don't want to overwhelm recruiters with adding too much or too many pages to it, because of course we just want to highlight those key points or standout points. Maybe something to consider as well is perhaps, do you want to add a picture, not add a picture for roles, for instance, where um, might be, let's say, flight attendants or other positions you have where those photos would be important. Definitely do add it. So do a little bit of research, background research on that particular role and requirement. And of course, if it's in the instructions, please be sure to read the instructions. Some companies might require you to submit photos along with your CVs or resumes. And of course, cover letter. Cover letter is good, gives you a quick snippet or a snapshot of what the employer can expect in your resume, shows them also the intent, maybe give a little bit of expression as well that you're being interested in the company. So cover letter, not while not always required, it's always good to have one that you tailor to the company. So just remember, I think when it comes at least to your resume, your story, you have to make it shine. Remember that clarity beats complexity every time. And now that we've covered the aesthetic side of things, let's talk a little bit more on content and what actually goes into a great CV. Okay, so we see a lot of things here on this slide. From blank page, definitely we want to make it a standout resume. So what exactly goes in it? Well, first and foremost, important personal details in your header. We need to make sure that your name and contact details are stated there. So when we say contact details, this would be your email address, mobile number, permanent address. So for permanent address, of course, you don't have to put your full address or exact house number, apartment number, just at least the city would do. So it gives the recruiter or your employer an idea more or less how close of a proximity you would be to the office, especially if it's something that requires work on site every day. And then, of course, add a short summary, perhaps maybe 2 to 3 sentences about who you are, what you aim to achieve. Um, this more or less preempts at least or gives us a quick snapshot of what we can expect to see in your CV. It gives us a short summary as well. And after that, you list your education. So we begin first with highest educational attainment. So let's say right now, all of you are graduating college students. So we'll start off with your college. Sometimes senior high school, you can put that, but later on, as you develop your career and it progresses, just your college education will suffice. Or if you decide to pursue postgraduate studies, then something you can add on as well. So, apart from education, you list as well your relevant experiences, trainings, awards, as well as projects. So, let's say maybe in your university or in your college, you attended a bunch of projects, you hosted a couple of events for your organization. Definitely, that's something you can include there. If you're a consistent honor student, please do include that. Maybe if you graduated with Latin honors, you can even put your GPA or QPI, whatever you call it there. And for trainings, it's also quite important, especially if you were given certain certifications. So don't be afraid to put in the company or maybe organization that was hosting that training, the topic of the training as well. And use bullet points. So keep it concise, highlight what matters the most. We're not looking at big chunks of paragraphs as much as possible. You want to keep it very easy on the eyes for whoever's reading that CV. So the more concise and the more bulleted it is, the better. And I guess an easy way you can think about it is your CV is kind of like a maybe a Spotify playlist. So let's say you don't really add every song that you hear in your entire lifetime. You pick the the songs or the music that represents your taste the best. We make sure it's curated, and that's what we include in our playlist. So just like that, your CV should also only include the most relevant and impressive experiences as well. So let's say just a practical example. Instead of writing that you worked in sales, just to be more specific, you can write that you increased sales for your internship or the company by 15% in 3 months through targeted campaigns. So why do we want to be more specific? It's because 100 other people or 100 other applicants could also say that they worked in sales. It's all going to say the same thing, but maybe you were the only person in those 100 applicants that achieved that growth. So we want to highlight that, and numbers would always make you stand out. And I guess to make it a little bit more relatable for you guys as well, um, in an academic context or at least in a school context, maybe instead of writing that you attended school events, you can write that you organized a campus seminar with 150 attendees and coordinated 5 student volunteers. So we're giving them all the details and all the hard work that you put into it because I mean, let's face it, at the end of the day, that organization, that event or campus seminar that you've organized, you put a lot of hard work into it. Um, and we don't want that to go unnoticed. We don't want you to just be, oh, okay, she attended a seminar, she attended another event, but it doesn't highlight the gravity of the effort and extent that you've done it. Let's say you want to become a project manager at an entry level, at least you can say, but I organized this event. It's 150 attendees. I'm capable of setting up or organizing or even hosting events at this scale. So at least it gives your employer, wow, okay, even if this person doesn't have that experience yet work wise, at least they've already managed something that's close to that scale. And of course, this shows a lot of initiative, leadership, and measurable impact, which is very important. And even if it's from school activities. So numbers and outcomes definitely would make your experience stand out a lot. And this doesn't just apply to those organizations, campus seminars. It could even be as maybe as small as you being the class president or student council. You can discuss some of the programs and initiatives that you've led for the school. Okay, so I guess just to wrap this slide up, main tips would be keep your resume short and sweet, bullet points over paragraphs, and definitely highlight the important. So on the next slide, we're going to see a sample CV or a sample resume. And how can we improve this? So I want to hear from you guys. Maybe if you guys could unmute yourself. Anyone wants to speak up based on our discussion? How do you think we can improve this CV? If you're shy to unmute yourself, please feel free to also comment in the chat box. Thank you, Sharon, for the reminder. So for those who would be participating in the activity, we do have prizes that we're gonna give out. So maybe we could have 2 volunteers. Okay, so Vince said that we could change the fonts and colors. That's correct. So right now, if we look at the CV, there are a lot of color blocks going on. Font-wise as well, it's not consistent. We have a couple of things that are in all caps and we have some in sentence case. So that's the right answer. One more. Okay, so Arby said that uh picture's a little bit too big. Make it a little bit smaller so you could add some more details about yourself. Okay. both very valid points. Definitely on your resume, the main focus, core focus of these things should be your experience in terms of background. So quite right to say that, yeah, maybe we could make the picture a little bit smaller. So I'd like to discuss a couple more things that maybe we can highlight as well. Um, so as you can see here, academic background, it's better that they put the university first on top. And then after that, we put the degree. And then on work experience, we can see here, okay, on the job trainee for quality assurance center, but we don't know much details about the job. There's no descriptions, no bullet points, or even a snapshot of what the experience is. So another way that we could improve this, of course, is apart from saying, okay, we did an OJT at a QA center, you can discuss a little bit what exactly were the responsibilities or tasks that you did. Maybe did you assist in certain um, admin work, or did you check on quality of the products? So around 3 bullet points should be fine, but the more concrete and specific we could be, the better. It would give us a picture as well of what it is you're doing. So in the contact me at the bottom of the page, we could also see here that while it's great that you have the contact information like email, phone number as well, maybe we could exclude the Facebook link or profile. So, of course, it's good that we have contact details here, but we don't want to share too much, especially about personal lives. Maybe um, as an alternative, you could put your LinkedIn links instead. So at least they get a more professional overview of what it is you do, as well as the profile and background that you have. So in the next slide, a couple of questions that you can ask yourself and I guess reflect on as well when crafting your own CV or resume is that are the skills aligned with the role that you're applying for? So, of course, earlier we saw here that one of you wanted to be a veterinarian. So, of course, if you're going to be a veterinarian, you need to have certain skills or qualifications like graduating with a degree in vet med. We're not going to apply for a veterinary position if, let's say, maybe we did journalism. So check to see that your skills are aligned with the role that you're applying for. And in terms of details as well on your work, are they, if it, are those experiences sufficient already? So maybe the job description might say they're looking for somebody who already has 10 years of experience in supply chain or 5 years of experience being an animator. As a fresh graduate, we're not going to apply for those positions yet, but maybe we can see something that's a little bit more related, something that says, okay, we're open to looking at resumes or profiles from fresh graduates, those without experience yet, or maybe those who have internship experiences. Next question to ask yourself is should you include your LinkedIn profile or portfolio? So there are certain positions, let's say marketing positions or those in the creative side of things that might request for your portfolio. Why? Because these specific jobs might require a certain skill set, which of course we can't see in the CV. And the only way we see that is through the work that you've been able to put out, present as well. So try to check and see does this particular role or job description require me to submit a portfolio, require me to submit additional documents? And would it be better if I submitted my LinkedIn profile as well? Because let's say your LinkedIn profile might have the links to a couple of feature articles that you've been on, or there are certain awards linked there. Then, of course, if it's advantageous for you, definitely add it. And another thing you can ask is how can your profile be more searchable? Meaning to say, um, are there enough details on it? If you're part of, for instance, school events, or perhaps you're part of the student council, I'm sure that there have been a couple of news articles, even though they're in school, that have been written about you. So if your recruiter looks you up on the internet, would these pop up, would these appear on there? And lastly is the summary relevant. So the professional summary is one of the first things that we're going to see in the CV. So you have to make sure that whatever it is you're highlighting there is relevant to the job. Let's say you can't say, oh, you're interested in marketing and you're interested in the more artistic side of things, and then what you're applying for is a position as, let's say, a clinic nurse or a doctor in the medical field, then of course that particular bit of information isn't going to be too relevant, and it might even make your recruiter or future employer question if you even read through the job description or if you know what you're applying for. So we don't want to come off as somebody who's ill prepared or maybe just randomly sending out CVs without knowing what it is they're applying to or what it is um, that they're looking for. So those are just a couple of questions that maybe you can reflect on. Feel free to screenshot them and save them. Of course, when you're crafting your CV. And then on the next slide, we want to transform your CV into a career magnet. So if you can remember the CV earlier, this is, I would suppose you can say, the better version or the edited version to show really all the best practices that you have. So we can see here in work experience right now, okay, on the job training, we now have a couple of bullet points that show us what exactly it was she was doing. So it says here engaging in accreditation of different programs, um, and interacting with institutions such as Commission on Higher Education, as well as accrediting agencies. So it gives us a clearer picture. Okay, this is what a quality assurance role in this particular company looks like. Because even though it might have similar titles, each company would still have their own um, responsibilities or perhaps maybe roles that are unique to them. So we have to make sure we include our milestone achievements in your school, as well as work experience or experiences, of course, if you have any. And milestones and achievements could mean maybe awards that you got, academic awards that you got. It could also mean if you were recognized, let's say, in extracurricular competitions, you represented your school, you were a speaker. So those are key milestones and achievements that you can highlight. And of course, you want to streamline your skill set that's relevant to the role. So if you remember earlier in the CV, you had a lot of skills listed down there, but not all of them might be relevant, let's say, to that specific role you're applying to. So you want to make sure if you apply to a role, just filter it out to whatever is most useful or most relevant. So earlier, Edmar said that he wants to become an animator. So we're going to focus on skills, let's say the programs used in animation. If that's something you're good at, then highlight that as a skill. We're not going to probably put here singing as a skill or dancing as a skill if it's not something that's relevant to the job. So feel free as well not to include your detailed address just for security purposes. So as I mentioned earlier, just your probably city would be good enough just to give the employer an idea more or less what the proximity is to the workplace. So on the next slide, we're going to wrap up the session with an activity. So more of a workshop where we're going to be flashing a couple of resumes, and if you can comment perhaps on those resumes, give your insights on them. Maybe we can have two people per CV. And as mentioned by Sharon earlier, those who would be participating for those activity, of course, will be receiving a couple of prizes. Okay, So we have the first CV up already. This CV is for Carl Castro. Can I get your thoughts or maybe insights on how we can improve this CV? Feel free to unmute yourself as well. You don't want to type in the chat box, but you can type in the chat box as well. Completely fine. Okay, we'll try to enlarge this a little bit. I know it's quite difficult to see right now. Fonts are a little bit small, so a little bit of technical difficulties, but we'll enlarge that for you. Okay, if we could get just a couple of people, maybe a few volunteers, just two volunteers for this CV. Okay, so Vin says that he thinks the resume is very general, so maybe it could be stronger if the achievements and skills are more defined and detailed. Okay, so yes, definitely, maybe for the skills, a little bit more generic. We don't know yet what position she's applying for, but it would be better, I suppose, if she maybe specifies it a little bit more what good communication means. Are we saying, is it good English communication, good Filipino communication, written, verbal, fluency? So yeah, very good point, Vince. As well as with achievements, that's also good to highlight. So um, thank you, Vince, for highlighting the fact that achievements are a little bit general. So I do understand in some schools, for instance, Dean's Lister could mean very different grade points for different schools. So let's say maybe perhaps your college, it might be 3.5 out of 4, and then you're already considered a Dean's Lister. But perhaps in other colleges, it would be 3 out of 4, and you're already considered a Dean's Lister. So it's better that we get any of those ambiguities out of the way, and so at least it gives our screener or recruiter a better picture and a better idea as well of what exactly it means to be a Dean's Lister at your university. So, do we have any other observations for this resume? Yes, Ian. Would love to hear your thoughts on it. Please feel free to unmute.
Um, it's the same for the experience. Like it doesn't necessarily tell me on what it what she would offer by being a testing proctor assistant, like what she did or what she did as an assistant or what she did as an intern.
Yes,
It
good
doesn't
job.
show the
So
specific skills or competencies they did as those specific roles.
yes, exactly. How would you improve this one? If you were given the chance to improve that resume, what changes would you tweak for the experiences?
Uh, I don't really, I don't necessarily know what being testing proctor assistant, but uh, if I would add more, I would, I would add some details, or I would add some bullets that would show uh basically what they just did as the role they placed in.
Right. Okay. Perfect. That's actually a really good answer and exactly what we're looking for in terms of experience. You're very much correct to say, Ian, that we don't know what a testing proctor assistant does. What exact responsibilities are they doing? If I were to look at the CV, it could tell me, okay, maybe she's just looking after the students, or is she also checking the papers? Is she grading it? So yes, definitely we have to include responsibilities, and as much as possible, if we could be specific with them, maybe we could add measurable responsibilities or quantifiable responsibilities. That would definitely help out a lot, as well as the educational setting psychology intern for those, especially let's say if an HR were to look at it and might not be too privy with the role, she might not be sure, or he might not be sure, what exactly was the extent of your internship. What did you cover? What did you tackle? What responsibilities were included in that internship of yours? So so at least we don't keep the recruiter guessing or having assumptions. It's always better to put those bullet points of the description underneath. So good job. Maybe you can check out the next CV. So thanks so much, Ian and Vince, for sharing your thoughts on it. So while we load up the next CV, if in case you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box as well, but we'll be having a session later for the questions. Okay, so great. The next CV is already up. Um, let's have two volunteers as well for this. We could have two volunteers share their insight on how we can improve this CV, or maybe their observations on it as well. Feel free to type it in the chat box if you're a little bit shy, but if you can unmute yourself and you can speak for this, we definitely love to hear. Okay, so we have a tip from one of our hosts here. You can also magnify the screen on your phone or your laptop to adjust how it looks if in case you guys can't read it or it's a little bit blurry. Okay, that's a good observation from RB. Definitely the watermark should be removed. It poses a lot of distractions. You can't really see some of the skills listed as well because white on white. So we don't want to give our recruiters a hard time, or we don't want to give the employers a hard time. Okay, Vince also has a good point. The CV is admittedly much better than the other one when it comes to information, but the format can make it distracting. So yes, format is a little bit distracting. It's better if perhaps we just have it a plain straight up CV, no watermarks, keep the colors high contrast as well. But I'm quite curious to know, Vince, what was it that made this particular CV better? So you mentioned it's much better than the other one when it comes to information. What specifically with the information, or if you could give us maybe some examples. Mm, yes. Too many items in one section for the skills. So yeah, there are quite a lot of skills, and we don't know if all of them are going to be relevant for the particular role. Because we can see also that there are a couple of skills that are overlapping. So those skills that are overlapping, maybe we could make it more concise, wrap it up into just one. Like let's say, um, customer relationship management, customer service could mean the same thing. And it depends on the role that you're applying for. Let's say you're not even a client facing, it's not even a client facing role, then maybe the CRM wouldn't be as relevant. So Vince said the experience is detailed for me. So yes. And good point to add as well, Ian, that it addressed the concerns you had with the previous CV, because now we could see the um, bullet points or the description that this person had for the customer service representative role. Okay. So good job, everyone. Really glad to hear your thoughts. And I guess this wraps up our session, concludes our session for the CV writing. Thank you so much for your time, for listening, and I hope you were able to, of course, get something out of this session. And hopefully you'd be able to use this once you start crafting your CVs, or maybe editing your CVs once you graduate. So thank you so much. And I'll just leave you with a quote that your future depends on what you do today. So definitely start working on the CVs now and make your story worth reading. So good luck to every one of you. And I can't wait to see all of you land amazing career opportunities. Thank you.
Yes, I fully agree with you, Miss Steph, and thank you. We definitely agree that how a resume is a personal brand, what kind of details and keywords should and shouldn't be included, and why it's important to keep it clean and specific, but also personalized and shiny, as you said. I'm sure that everyone is now ready to craft resumes that truly stand out. And now it's your turn. We're moving into our open forum. This is your chance to ask questions, clarify doubts, or share your thoughts about anything we covered today. Don't be shy. Type your questions in the chat box, or even open your mic, raise your hand if you'd like to speak directly. Our amazing speakers are here to answer and guide you every step of the way. Let's make it fun, interactive, and full of great insights. Who's ready? Do you have any takers? Okay. So we have a question from the pre-test. What type of jobs or career paths are suitable for someone who's nearly 40 years old and about to graduate from college? Are there industries or roles that particularly value mature graduates entering the workforce? From a business administration student. Okay. I think Miss Steph Bertasha would like to answer this one,
Yes.
right?
Yep, I can take this question. So, a really good question. I think first and foremost, definitely, I'm not gonna say that ageism is not prevalent in the career market right now, because I do want to be transparent. There are some companies that might take age into a factor. Um, why? Maybe perhaps because in terms of physical capabilities, it could affect the job, not necessarily just because, you're a little bit more on the mature side. It might have to do with the physical side of things, that they don't want to strain yourself. But I do want to highlight as well that, let's say, in your instance as a business administration student, of course, we're going to see a lot of different work opportunities, like let's say maybe marketing associate, sales associates. I know with sales associates, they're not too particular, at least with age. What they look for more here is personality or what you're able to bring to them. And at the end of the day, let's say the particular role, like sales, would look more into targets. So if you can show them that you're somebody that's personable, even in the interview alone, you can already show them, okay, you have a very lively personality, you can get along with people, you have a certain maybe character that would attract the type of clients or markets that they have, then it's something that would be great to have. So sales, something you could definitely explore. Perhaps maybe marketing as well, trade marketing, field marketing, something that lets you engage with people. Because just because you're older, this is one of the things I want to clarify. Just because you're older or graduated from college at 40 years old, this doesn't mean that your that younger people might be ahead of you in the race. Some people and some employers actually would prefer to hire the older generation because in client facing roles, for instance, with sales, sometimes those clients are going to take older people or more mature people more seriously. So it has its pros and cons. But definitely at the end of the day, it depends on how you're going to present yourself. And I guess um, just as a to share, one of the experiences that I did have is I had a candidate who was already 59 years old, so almost 60 years old. And she applied for a role recently. And we know here in the Philippines, retirement age sometimes starts at 60 years old for some. So some companies don't even entertain the thought of those 55 and above. But the company took a chance on this person. It was for a sales position as well. And she asked this question to the managing director in her interview. She asked him, "What are your thoughts in ageism?" Because I want to be transparent. I'm almost 60 years old, but I want to work and I'm very much capable. I'm going to show up to the office every day. What are your thoughts on it? Is that going to hinder your maybe thoughts or decision on my application? And she shared with me that the managing director had actually told her that no, I don't see age as being a restriction for somebody, but I don't view it as somebody who's older. It's just somebody who's wiser, probably saw a lot more in their life, not necessarily in work, but could be life experiences that are transferable that you could also apply in the work setup. So, of course, pros and cons. Not saying as well that if you're a fresh grad who's a little bit younger, that it would be disadvantageous for you. Of course, we could also show that um, you have a lot of agility or a lot of things to learn as well. But definitely, age shouldn't stop you from applying to that job that you want. But in terms of industries, career paths, I would strongly suggest maybe looking into sales or marketing, but stronger on the sales side. But Christian, if you have any thoughts as well, would love to hear your side.
Sure. Thanks so much for that, Steph. And to add on Steph's point, age should actually not be an issue, especially at this day and age. What hiring managers are actually looking into the most is what you can offer to the table. So your skill sets are actually what they are really looking into. So I'm assuming that the person who's already in nearly at the 40 years old age, who's about to graduate from college, has significant years of experience in the job market as well. So this is something that you could already showcase to the hiring managers. Your skill sets are already there. They've already matured. So it's really just highlighting that, and then of course highlighting that you've also achieved your college degree as well. It's just an icing on top. But in summary, the skill sets that you bring to the table is what really highlights your qualification. So yeah, if you have sales experience, then that's great. Your personality is really something that they will look into. Say you have uh, data analytics experience prior to your graduation, then that's something that you could offer as well. If you're good in Excel, those kinds of skill sets that you can share, then they'd be more than happy to have you in the team.
Right,
Mhm.
If I may
exactly.
add also, if I may add also, entering the workforce at nearly 40, that's absolutely okay. Though there are some pros and cons, definitely. There is in any situation, right? But then again, I would look at it that, I mean, having more advantages because many industries at the moment actually value maturity, professionalism, real world experiences even if they didn't come from formal employment. So similar to what Steph mentioned earlier, I think sales would be a very good starting point because many companies from sales actually prefer mature hires for these roles because the roles for sales actually require confidence, empathy, strong communication, and if you are in your 40s, those are skills that you probably have um, honed already. In addition to sales roles, I would like to say probably admin and operation roles because these industries they love hiring reliable and organized adults for their openings. You also have, I would say, HR and recruitment. In recruitment, we don't look at, age because we appreciate life experiences because they help us with reading people because that's very important in HR and recruitment, right? And also we handle sensitive issues and there's also a need for us to communicate professionally so that being wise, being mature is very very important. And also let's not forget the BPO and the shared services industry because I would like to say from someone who actually came from this industry when I was starting my career, I would like to say that the BPO and the shared services industry is one of the most welcoming industries, especially for career shifters and late graduates. They don't look at your age. They don't look at what you finished because they have roles that include customer service representative, back office support, workforce operations, support roles, and these roles actually do not require any age requirements. So yeah, so I would just like to say that at the moment I don't want us to look at age as a barrier, but more of a strength because again, as I mentioned earlier, many employers appreciate the stability, the maturity, as well as the discipline and the professionalism that come with life experience. So there. Thanks.
Right. I also just wanted to add, this kind of highlights the importance of how you should build your CV. Um, in most cases, in a lot of the cases, actually, all it takes is a few seconds for hiring managers to determine whether a candidate is fit for a position. So, this going back to what Ms. Steph Pertasio said a while ago, the things you should include in a CV should just be the relevant things, relevant skills, experience, background. Things like age shouldn't be considered too much of a factor because we want to eliminate some unconscious biases that either towards or against ageism in the workforce. So yeah, keeping your CV and keeping the expectations about what your age is or what it shouldn't be should be out of the question. Okay, all right. I think we have a few more questions. There is another one from the pre-test. What common mistakes do students usually make in their resumes and how can we avoid them? From a student coming from information technology.
I think so. For this question, I can take this one. In terms of usual mistakes, I think one of the things we discussed earlier was definitely having that lack of a description. So, for instance, when it comes to, let's say, achievements, you can mention that you're an honor student, you're a teens lister, but what exactly does that mean for your school? Because let's say your school might say 92 out of 100 and above is what qualifies as teen sister. But for another school, it could mean 85 and above. Yet, if you're both putting Dean's Lister, now you look like you're on the same level. When in reality, you have that little bit of an edge against that other competitor or that other applicant. Another perhaps maybe common mistake would be sometimes we overthink things. We don't add on the achievements that we're getting. We think that, okay, this isn't really work related. Maybe I shouldn't add it. But instances like, let's say, organizing a seminar or organizing an activity for your school can really showcase that based on experience, you have those leadership skills, you have that project management skills, which we can't really vouch for until we see concrete instances where you've applied it. Because anyone can mention it on the skill set of the CV or of the resume that I can do project management. I'm great at organizing. I have good communication skills. But it's different if you see in the resume or the CV that I was a speaker at this forum, and this forum was about etc. This was the topic I discussed. I organized said event. This is how many people attended that event. This was for this organization. So it's small details like that that maybe we think, okay, they're just extracurricular, they're not going to care, it's not academic. But sometimes it's those extracurricular things or things that you do outside of school that could even help push and elevate your CV and give you a notch above the others. So yeah, that's for me on my end.
Thanks, now, another one that students can really highlight on their CV is, or actually not highlight but eliminate, is the hiring managers or the recruiters expect that you guys are, fresh graduates. So make sure that the CV is clean, because sometimes people tend to bloat their CVs with a lot of trainings. Make sure that the trainings that are on your CV are relevant ones. Maybe you can eliminate those, other types of uh, trainings or seminars that are not too relevant in the position that you applied for. And also, read through the JDs that you're applying to. um Sometimes, the JDs already, or actually most of the time, the JDs have the skill sets that they're looking for. So cater to, or have at least more than one type of CV ready. So make sure that you cater your CVs to those appropriate job postings. So look into what they're looking for. Are they looking for project management skill set, stakeholder management skill set? Now, how do you apply those on your CV? Have you done those on your internship? Then if you've done so in your internship, then you can highlight that on your CV. Don't just, create some generic description on your experience from your internship. You have to make sure that they're highlighted on your CV, since they're essentially, the basis of the recruiters or the hiring managers of what you did on your internship. So you have to make sure that those are that they have clarity, and not just, bombarded us with the information. So that's one of my takeaways.
All right. Okay. I think we have another question. This question is a little bit more related to one of the previous questions a while ago. What strategies can fresh graduates use to stand out in job applications despite the common requirement of work experience?
Sure. Thanks for that, Sam. So, in terms of your strategies, so guys, as I mentioned earlier, you're essentially if you guys don't have the experience yet, uh, the hiring managers or the recruiters basis would be your internship, or maybe some of the uh, your experience, your volunteer experience. Those would be some of our basis for looking into your, your qualification. If since you don't really have the work experience yet, although I understand the job market can be very hard for fresh grads. I've noticed this. Even my younger sisters have had this problem. But thankfully, what you can do is highlight your internship. That's really something that make sure that it's clear. The skill sets that the organizations are looking for are present. If you don't have that experience yet, we have a lot of online trainings that are available. Some of them are actually free, especially for students. So Google certifications are free for students. You may check your um, school administrators if they offer that in school. But also, not just limited to Google certifications. If the job is requiring, other types of skill sets. So definitely upskill. So that you can, have a better edge to compared to other candidates, since there are going to be a lot of graduates competing for few slots. So make sure that you guys are competitive. So yeah, what's your take, Steph?
I think definitely for me, I'll just definitely I do agree with you, Christian. Add on a little bit to what I was just saying earlier as well. Highlight those perhaps extracurricular activities, and maybe you could add in a couple of skills that relate to those extracurricular activities. Just to make sure it stands out a little bit more. But I do agree with you, Christian. Upskilling is something that you can do as a fresh graduate. As let's say, if you don't have any work experience yet, it's best to definitely get as much of those trainings in, as much of those certifications in. So at least what you haven't had yet in terms of work experience, you have that theoretical knowledge ready to back you up already.
And this is paid out on an annualized basis or
Right. And maybe even stepping away from the CV a little bit, since it talks about job applications, the possibility of an interview. This highlights the importance of how communication skills can go. Even if you have the work experience, you may not be able to get it across the right amount or the right kind of way for hiring managers to understand your skills and experience. So even if you don't have the work experience, but you have the certificates, the skills needed for the position, communicating that and how you're um, able to brandish yourself in front of the hiring manager is just as important. Okay, I think Edmar has a question. Beside Microsoft Sheets, what else should I excel at to make my resume more appealing? I think I can start this one off. Edmar, apart from Microsoft Sheets, I think it really depends on what kind of, I guess, platform um, the job that you're applying to uses. So, for example, there's Oracle, there's SAP. There's a lot more different kinds of platforms that are used for the specific position you're applying to. So, if you find the exact one, the exact kind of tower um, the position kind of uses, you can hone in on those. Even as a fresh graduate, there's a lot of certifications for Oracle or SAP that you could upskill at, as Christian and Steph has mentioned a while ago.
Thanks, Sam. So to add to Sam's point, so other than Microsoft applications, there are a lot of applications that are needed by various organizations. So, for example, as we discussed earlier, in your school life, um, perhaps some of you have done project management in organizing an activity. Make use of project management apps like maybe Monday.com, ClickUp, Jira, Trello. These are just some of applications that you guys can use actually on on a school setup that you could even highlight in your CVs. So understanding how the tools work, and then showcasing that on your CV that you've used those project management apps or on your specific workflows would be an asset once you undergo interviews with organizations that are looking for those types of experience. Would you like to add onto that, Steph?
Okay, sure. So I think Sam and Christian definitely covered a big bulk of it already. Probably more towards the IT side of things or maybe program management side of things. But looking at it expertise wise, I'm more focused on your commercial role. So probably I can add some insight here when it comes to the more commercial space of things like sales, marketing, etc. But one of the things I suppose is if you're comfortable, let's say, doing cold calling or interacting with people as well, because believe it or not, cold calling is something a lot of people are not that comfortable with. So it's a skill that a lot of employers still look for, especially if you're doing sales. Perhaps as well, driving, whether it be motorbikes, cars, a lot of sales roles, especially now, do field work. So having that skill to be able to drive a car or to be able to drive a motorcycle is definitely going to add a lot of value compared to, let's say, an applicant who might not know how to do that. And sometimes it's a make or break factor for some employers. So a skill as simple as that, definitely something you should add.
And let's not forget to highlight also the soft skills because they do matter. Because these are skills that hiring managers check, but most resumes fail to highlight. Similar to what has been mentioned earlier, communication skills, time management, your customer service skills, problem solving, adaptability. But you just have to make sure that you show examples and not just words. So I think that's one thing that we have to uh, remember all the time. It's not all about technical skills because technical skills, everybody can have that. But at the end of the day, it should be a combination of technical and soft skills. So there.
That's right. Adding to Sharon's point about the soft skills as well, this actually answers the other question that we have in terms of acing your job interview. Is when doing interviews, you have to make sure that you answer the interviews, not just answering it. You have to be structured in terms of answering interviews. So, for example, um, uh, when you're being asked about, say, a soft skill of, communication skills, how do you communicate well with your stakeholders? Now, typically recruiters would ask that, and the hiring managers as well. You don't just share your answers, but you have to be structured and you have to cite examples, since you have to make sure that you don't just share your answers that, oh, I communicate well with people in the organization. So you have to make sure that there's a specific example that you say. So for example, we've organized this seminar, and then we've organized this seminar with this and that organization, and then these are the results. So you have to make sure that there's a structure in how you answer the interview questions once you're into the job interviews. So that's just one of my takes. So
Right.
how about you guys? What can you add to that?
I actually
Okay,
wanted to
so
add on to. Go ahead,
no,
Steph,
sorry,
if
go
you
ahead,
wanted to.
Sam. No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Since Christian talked about structures for interviews, there's actually one tried and true method already. It's called the STAR method. So
Very
if you
good.
guys don't know what that is, it's basically it stands for uh, situation, task, action, and result. So when you're asked a question, you want to be able to, as Christian said, structure your answers, right? So if you can identify the situation, define the task that you were given, and then the actions that you took towards the task, and then the results of your actions, it gives a very clear structure for your answers. Yeah, I think Steph.
Okay. Yeah, thanks so much for that, Sam and Christian. I think I'll touch a little bit more on the tips for before the job interview. They've definitely given a lot of helpful insight for what to do during the job interview. I think before for me, best thing to do is, well, number one, do a little bit of a background or read up on the company you're applying for. So maybe even if it's just general information, what it is they do, what they're known for, um, maybe structure of the organization, is it a local company? Those are things that would be good to keep at the back of your mind. What services they provide, what products they would be providing. Just so at least if you have any experiences that relate to these products or services, you can bring it up in the interview. And um, if you're relatable to your interviewer, that always gives you plus points. Um, and sometimes might give some unconscious biases, whether we want to admit it or not. But if an interviewer is relating to one person more than the other, chances are they might highly likely proceed to the next step. Another thing that you could definitely take a look at is if you are already aware of who's going to do the interview, I would suggest taking a look on their LinkedIn profiles. So it's a quick search, just Google their name, and I'm pretty sure the first link that's gonna pop up is a LinkedIn profile. So try to take a look at that. Maybe you can look at their career progression, so which companies they've worked at previously, because if it so happens that maybe you entered at a company that they previously worked at, that's a good talking point to bring up, break the ice a little bit, show that you have a couple of similarities. And what else, I guess, prior to attending that interview, one of the things that they'll always highly likely ask you during your interview is if you have um, any questions for the interviewer. And it's not really a mistake, but one of the things people often tend to overlook is saying that no, I don't have any questions, I'm all good. But for me personally, as a recruiter, I think it's always better if you have at least maybe two questions prepared. Of course, you can think of more on the spot if anything pops up, but you're already faced with the interviewer, somebody who's part of the company, and what better person to ask any clarifications to than someone who's already working in the company. So it could be, what's the company culture like? Um, how's the structure right now? How's the company performing? What do employees like most about this? And it gives you a lot of insight that maybe you can't find on Google, or maybe you won't know unless you asked it to that particular interviewer. So questions such as those. And of course, if you ask a little bit more about the company, a little bit more about the job itself, it also gives a good impression to the interviewer that okay, this person is wants to know more about my company, wants to know more about the job itself. I guess they're interested if they're taking the time, spending the time to hear me out on what I have to say and what I have to explain um, to them. So it's a good first impression to give. So I think for me, those are a couple of tips that would definitely help you prepare before the
May work full now. Okay. All right. Moving on, we have another question, I think, from the pre-test. As a recruiter handling bulk of resumes, what is a red flag or things that you see and make you doubt about the authenticity and true skills of a person when you read their resume, or other elements that instantly make you reject this candidate? So we may avoid from a graduating student with past job experience.
Maybe I can answer this question first. Thanks, Sam. So, as a recruiter, and well, now in terms of red flags, you see, guys, we look at the CV's face value. So once we see your CVs, we take it that you have those skills. So then once we have the conversation, then that's the time that we can cross check if these are really skills that are present. So as I mentioned, there's a right structure to answering the questions of a recruiter, so the star method. So that's where we gauge if if this person is really capable, or if what they say really in their CV is true. So what you need to do is you need to have or what you need to have a clear CV, and at the same time you need to be able to answer the questions that we have, that would in terms of us cross checking your CV experience. So if you put there that you have this so and so experience, then we are going to ask, what was your approach? How did you go about doing this specific experience from based on your CV. So my suggestion is, while yes, make your CV, as truthful as it is, but and sometimes you want to make it flashy, but don't make it too flashy to the point that you can't answer your the questions um straight as straightforward. So be truthful in your CV. So that's going to be the uh the suggestion or the recommendation. But yeah, what are your takes, Steph and Sam and Sharon?
I think for me, not so much as what's on the
Mm-hmm.
resume or the CV per se, but probably a red flag would be if I see, given that we're handling multiple roles at the same time, and
Right.
oftentimes it's not always the same position, right? We can,
Yes.
let's say, maybe do one for sales and then another one for, let's say, somewhere in the factory, and they're completely different, unrelated roles. But you see the person applying to this role, that other role that's completely opposite to it, and then
Yeah.
another role you find out from your colleague also applying there. So I wouldn't exactly say completely red flag. I mean, of course we do have to understand the situation that this person is in. Maybe they do really need a job at that time, but it will raise a couple of questions and probably make you think, did this person even try to check or read the job description of the role that they're applying for? Do
Right.
they even know what it is they're getting themselves into? Because clearly they're two very different uh, roles with two very different responsibilities that might not be related at all. So it can make you think twice. Does this person really possess, the skills that they say they're possessing in their CV? Or are they just at this point, just trying to get any role that they can. So I think for me, not so much the resume itself, but you did raise a lot of good points, Christian. Don't make it too flashy, but I think one of the most important things for me is try to make sure that what it is you're applying for and the skills that you're putting there in your CV, the experiences as well, is going to line up and match up with that role that you're applying to as well. And don't, just bulk send CVs anywhere in any open role that you can, because you can't expect recruiters, of course, they're screening a lot of CVs. They can't try to match you for everything. So make their lives a little bit easier. Apply for the roles that are most relevant to your skill set, most relevant to your experience as well. Yeah, and that would definitely help out a lot. So Sam, Sharon, curious to know your guys' takes as well.
I think if we're looking at the CV, everything that was mentioned was correct. But one more thing that you have to remember is that if you have poor formatting or there are a lot of errors on your resume, like spelling mistakes, grammar issues, if the layout is really messy, then it can like signals lack of attention to detail. So sometimes we get turned off if we see resumes like that. So put some effort. I mean, a lot some time in creating your CVs. I think that's what I would like to add in those questions, obviously answers that has been provided earlier.
Right. Yeah, I fully stand behind that. I'd also like to add, since it's an emerging kind of trend in the age that we live in now, um, don't let AI to fully write your resume. I think
Yeah.
was what Christian and Steph mentioned a while ago. It's important to maybe use it for help a little bit, but that's what's kind of a red flag for maybe some recruiters if they notice that some of the things that you put on your CV are AI generated. So as Steph mentioned a while ago in her session, make it personalized, make it about you. There's a lot of personality that goes into writing a CV, so don't let AI totally write your CV for you. Okay. Question from a psychology student. How can critical thinking be applied in other workplace situations to improve decision making and problem solving?
I would like to answer this because I just ran a skill building activity my team a couple of days ago, and our topic was critical thinking. Because I truly believe that critical thinking is really really important in the workplace, because it helps employees make better decisions and solve problems. How do they do that? If you have critical thinking, you actually analyze information, you weigh options, and you consider outcomes, right? That's how critical thinking works. So, for example, problem solving, right? You just don't come up with an action plan right away. Instead, what you do is that you identify the root cause before you actually act on the problem. When it comes to decision making, you now weigh the pros and the cons based on the evidence, not just based on hearsay. So, because if you don't have critical thinking, you don't use critical thinking, you won't look at the facts. Instead, you would just listen to opinions, right? Now, it's also very important when it comes to conflict resolution because conflict would always happen. It would always be present in the workplace. So, for someone who does not use or practice critical thinking, usually you would just look at one side of things, right? You won't look at all the perspectives objectively. So you won't be able to resolve conflicts if you just look at one party, listen to just one party. So that's very important. And more importantly, as a fan of process improvement, I believe that an employee should display critical thinking because if you have critical or if you practice critical thinking, you spot inefficiencies and you're now able to suggest solutions. So that's how we move forward. That's how we actually make the processes better. That's how we grow as an employee, as a company, right? We keep on improving our skills, keep on enhancing our skills, and then we keep on improving the processes. So I cannot stress enough the importance of critical thinking, and I think that as early as now, it's something that should be practiced by everybody. And similar to what I told my team, I think it's something that should be deliberately done. If it's something that you're not practicing yet, I suggest that you start doing it and you start honing it and don't stop honing it because I've mentioned process improvement. It's not going to stop. The world will change, the workplace will change. At the same time, you have to grow, you have to change as well. So that's why critical thinking is very important in the workplace.
Excellent point, Sharon. And to add to that, so everyone, I think we mentioned earlier that menial jobs are being taken over by AI and tech. So keep in mind, that these jobs are being taken over by those, by technology. It's because they have little to no critical thinking involved. So we always need to be, practicing this. um we need to be practicing critical thinking in all, our in terms of problem solving, in the jobs that we do. So essentially we exist to solve problems. So in essence, we need to be sharp at all times, as I would say. But what is your take on that, Sam and Steph?
Um, yeah, I think I would like to, I guess, mimic what you guys answered. It critical thinking, as early as now, should be deliberately and consciously done. It's not something that can be quantified per se in an interview, but it's something that you display in the workforce. So it's very important to kind of develop that soft skill now, because yeah, as you mentioned, it's going to lead to a lot of decision making and problem solving. But answering it from a psychology standpoint, coming from a psychology background as well, I think we need to remember that the workplace is a very human environment. Um, you there isn't not everything is going to be specifically objective, but what you have to remember is that very rarely will there be cases that somebody is out there to get you. So um, if you don't take things to heart and look at the facts, you're going to realize that emotions won't lead you to irrational decisions. So yeah, making decisions that are informed, solving those kinds of problems, and remembering that conflict isn't always a bad thing, but to resolve it is pretty important. Okay. Steph, do you have? Did you want to add anything else?
I think just a little bit conscious of time here, Sam. I want to make
Right.
sure that we also answer all the questions that we have. But I do think the three of you have definitely shared a lot of good insights and points to this one. Don't think I can add more to that. So I'll move on to the last question if that's fine with everyone. So a public administration student mentioned that what do I do if the problem is I only excel in academics and not sure if I can do good in the workplace. So well, my perspective is I'm very certain that you have other skill sets outside of the academics that you do excel on. Probably it's more of I can relate a little bit to this one because when I was in college or when I was in high school, I was not the type to attend seminars or events. I focused all of my time in academics. But if you look at it, maybe just take a step back and try to see what are the things you've done. Could be since senior high school, doesn't necessarily have to be just strictly focus in college because you're all fresh grads. So um whatever you've learned in high school is still going to be very very relevant. So it could be as much as, let's say, maybe you were able to do a couple of tasks or functions in school events. They're still in school, but they might not be 100% academic related. So earlier we touched a little bit on maybe you joined student council, maybe you volunteered, perhaps to take on a function where you helped organize school events. Not per se, that's not necessarily something outside of school, but it's not just focused on academics, and it can show your future employers that okay, hey, I have these skills to be able to communicate, to be able to lead a team, especially if you come from, let's say, maybe a big class and you were the class president there. It shows that okay, I'm able to delegate tasks to my classmates, so when I step into the workplace I would be able to communicate well and I would be able to lead the team well. So that's one of the things that maybe you can focus on. Another thing is, if you really genuinely feel like okay, what if I have not done enough, I'm not doing all these extracurriculars even if they're in school. My only advice to that, of course, is your it's how you feel about what you're currently doing, but that doesn't mean that you can't do anything else from now up until when you apply. That would help rectify that. So you're just about to graduate. It doesn't necessarily mean hey, I have to jump into the workforce right now. You can take courses, as Christian mentioned, free online courses that would give you certifications. You can still join organizations outside of school after you graduate. You can take a couple of internships, maybe do some volunteer work, or if you see yourself being able to upskill in something, then that's something that you can work on. But I think what's good about this question is if you've identified that early on and you already feel that, hey, I'm maybe lacking a little bit somewhere, or maybe the only thing I have to offer right now is my academic achievements, then it's good. You identify that right now, so you can do something about it in the next couple of months. That would help really build that resume, and I guess really collate everything that we've been able to discuss, as well as some of those tips. So moving forward, what are the next steps and action plans that you have to take from here on out. So
All right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Steph.
I think this wraps up as Sam.
Right. Yeah. As Steph was saying, I think it wraps up our Q&A session. I think that's all the questions that we've gotten. But if I may add, it was pretty refreshing to see how many of you were curious and eager to ask questions and how to better yourself professionally and gear yourself towards successful career path. But before we officially close, we have some important logistical reminders. school activity updates, and announcements to share. So let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Edward Landoy, School Partnership Lead from WSN Philippines, who will walk us through these updates. Mr. Edward, the virtual stage is yours.
Hi, hello, good afternoon. Just to share. First of all, thank you for PageGroup for sharing your expertise and your expertise on career planning and CV writing, as well as for my teammates in Wadwani for pulling this off, this first ever master class, and of course to Sir Andy, Sir Philip, and Sir BP Feli for joining us today as part of this to show their support for the masterclass. And of course, to the students currently enrolled in the Job Ready course by Wadwani Foundation. So before I give my reminders, I'd also like to share that based from the questions and the responses during the open forum, most of your fears or worries regarding career preparation and what happens after graduation is already built into the job ready modules that we are currently using. So hopefully, as you progress across the 10 modules in the program, you will gain deeper and better understanding of yourself and how you can position yourself in the marketplace after your graduation. So, in line with that, I'd also like to share that as of today, out of the 632 enrollment that we have recorded from NEUST, this is across all campuses. 84 students have already completed all the 10 modules, so that's 100% completion. And 132, uh, 132 completed 8 to 9 modules. So hopefully, we will see steady growth in the module engagement in the platform. And aside from that, going back to the modules, please use the interview coach in the platform if you're worried about interview preparations because that will really help you uh, express yourself and practice your communication skills because you will receive real-time feedback from the platform. So yeah, and lastly, for your certificate of participation, please answer the feedback form and the post test that we will be sharing later. So yeah, that's all. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Edward, for not just sharing the updates, but also the reminder that there does exist these modules that can better position oneself for work and career readiness. I'm sure these have been taken duly note of. So we're almost at the finish line, everybody. Now it's time for our post-test and event evaluation. Your chance to share feedback and reflect on everything you've learned today. There are two quick forms for you to complete. So number one would be the Page APAC post test, and number two would be the WSN event evaluation. All right, everyone, you'll see the QR codes flashing on your screen, but we've also dropped the links in the chat, so it's super easy to access from any kind of device. Once again, those are two quick forms that you have to complete, the Page APAC post test and the WSN event evaluation. It'll take a few minutes to fill them out thoughtfully, but your feedback is golden. It helps us know that the things that have worked, the things that you've loved, and what we can do even better next time. Even if you feel confident about today's session, completing these forms is your chance to have your voice heard and contribute to shaping future master classes that are even more engaging and useful for everybody. But once you're done, we'll move on to our final closing, where we'll celebrate all your participation, share a few final insights, maybe some pictures, and wrap up the session on a high energy note. So go ahead, scan the QR codes and click the links, complete your forms, and let's finish strong and energized. Okay. While you guys are answering both of those evaluation forms, I'd like to give a big shout out to tokens for our active participants. There's 7 in total, so apologize in advance if I butchered the pronunciation of your name. But number 1 would be Renzel John Delmo, 2 Vince Maromaza, RB Bulaklak, Ian Patrick Salaiman, Efren Tumbaga, Edmar Pineda, and Jenny Pagirigan. Thank you very much for actively participating. It's been definitely a pleasure. All right. Okay. I'm assuming that you guys are still answering some of the evaluation forms, but while you guys are doing that, I'd like to thank everybody for joining today's masterclass on career paths and skills for tomorrow. Also, a big thank you to our amazing speakers, Mr. Christian Siroja, Ms. Steph Portasha, and Ms. Sharon May Santos from PageGroup, and to our partners, Ms. Sharon Santos and the PageGroup team, Professor Randy M. Banez, and Mr. Edward Landoy from WSN Philippines from sharing their insights and guidance. We hope you leave today's session with valuable tools and strategies to navigate your career, craft standout resumes, and prepare for the future of work. If you haven't done so yet, please complete the post-test and event evaluation, which you can see the QR codes posted on your screen right now. Your feedback is pretty important. But before we officially close, Ms. Angela Chan Belantar, Vice President, Wadhwani Skilling Network, WSN Philippines, will be delivering our closing message.
Thank you so much, Sam. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Well, first of all, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to PageGroup. Sam, thank you so much for being today's host, and to Steph and Christian, thank you for sharing your expertise with such generosity. So PageGroup operates at a truly global level. So what you gave today is not just a generic corporate talk, right? But you designed this specifically for the students. So I really appreciate that. And I also want to acknowledge the support of Ms. Sharon and Thea, who worked tirelessly behind the scenes, right, to make this collaboration happen. And to the partners at NEUST, thank you so much for your leadership and commitment. So the VP of Academic Affairs, Ma'am Feliciana, and Prof. Randy from OJT and Career Development, and Doc Philippe from Alum and Placement. Thank you so much for your commitment in producing globally competitive and globally confident students. In the background, everything that we're doing and how we're working together with your school to support you in this mission. Thank you also to the foundation team, especially to Chriselle, who led this event, as well as Edward, Maya, Alexa, and Christine, who are here with us today. And finally, to all the students, thank you so much for spending the afternoon here. I know it's not the same when it's online. The energy, you cannot feel it in the room. But the online format is also giving us the opportunity to have our wonderful speakers who, are physically elsewhere right now, to be able to share their insights with you. So actually, the team asked me to speak a bit longer, so I'd love to just respond to some of the things that were in the presentation today. So Edward has led a survey which showed us at the foundation that many of you are exploring opportunities outside of where you live. So maybe it's in Metro Manila, or maybe it's even abroad. And I understand that very deeply. So I actually have worked in a lot of different countries, and currently I'm working in a place where I didn't grow up in. So when the team asked me to share a little bit about that, it resonated with me in terms of the idea of being able to move away. I think for me, I had to ask some big questions, right? Like, what kind of life do I want to lead? Who are the people that will support me when I'm away from home? And I know in the presentation earlier, actually, PageGroup mentioned some of those considerations. So what is the cost of living, right? What is the cost of living of the place I'm going to? What are the support systems, friends, mentors, communities, right, that will help you stay grounded? and also some of the things around cultural and workplace expectations. Every single workplace, every single city has its own values, norms, and rhythm. So to be honest, maybe at the time I didn't consider these things very, very deeply. Yeah. But now having had, graduated quite a long time ago now, one generation ago. Yeah. I think looking back, these are the realities that young professionals face when you do move away, when you do consider like starting a new friend circle or changing your identity when you move to a new place. So I really appreciate that PageGroup discussed some of these things very openly today. And I hope one of your takeaway today is that you're very lucky in the way that this information that was shared just now by PageGroup, I would have died to get this type of information when I was in school. You're making these decisions today with more information than many of the people who had come before you. You heard directly about, how hiring works, what employers are looking for in the resume, and specifically, right, how to even respond to some of those tricky questions. One of the insights from PageGroup that really stood out was about how career is not just a job. So it is a set of choices. It's a big part of your life, right? If you think about how many hours a day you have and how many hours of those you're going to be at work, it's very personal, and it is a set of choices that will really shape life that you will lead. About how much you will make, right? How much you get to learn on the job, your relationship, because in many cases, the people that you work with, they also become your friends, right? Your identity, who do you see yourself as, and how does that change your identity when you step into a new job or when you leave a career? So a few thoughts just to keep in mind as you plan your path. And I think my experience has been when I was coming to the workplace, it was really coming from a global recession where the youth unemployment rate was very high. So there was it was very high anxiety for everybody to see if they would be able to get a job. And the future was more scary than it was exciting. But I think now looking back, I can, for sure tell you that your first job is definitely for the short term and a career is for the long term. So skills that will last, right? Things like communication, problem solving, teamwork, these skills will always be yours even after you leave that job. The skills that you will learn, and in many cases also professional relationships that you build will last even after you leave that job. And your first job doesn't define you. Actually, the PageGroup colleagues and the foundation team, we were at an in-person meeting about a couple of weeks ago in SM ETSA North here, Manila. And I shared actually with the 500 senior high school students that showed up. My first job was actually at a Dairy Queen. And the reason why I got that job was because I watched this Korean drama, I think when I was 16, 17, and I really I really liked the concept of the Korean drama where the main character was patisserie. She was a baker. She was making desserts. And if any of you have seen Crash Landing on You during the pandemic, the male lead was the same male lead as Crash Landing on You. So I decided, I said to myself, oh, I would love to try that job and see how it would be like. So I walked into the local Dairy Queen and I, without a resume, because I didn't have any job experience at the time, I said, hey, do you need a part-timer here? Like, I would love to come here and see how do you make cakes? How do you make ice cream cakes? I didn't last very long, unfortunately. I was in high school and I had a embarrassing accident where I was rebellious and I didn't wear the proper shoes that you were supposed to wear. And I was wearing like Converse, which was cool, right, at the time. And I think in the second week of my job, I tripped and fell while I was bringing like a tray of something to like an elderly couple. That really scarred me, especially at the time there were like senior boys from the high school and they saw, and I was super embarrassed. So it didn't last very long in that job. But that was the starting point, and your starting point is not going to be your finish line. the concept of a career, right, from our parents or our grandparents' generation, where after graduation you go into a job and you work that job for the next 30 years, that's long gone. That's really long gone. And in fact, the lifespan of a job nowadays, with what I have seen, like doing hiring here, it's probably less than 5 years or 3 years, right? That's the average lifespan of a job today. Next, I would say like you have to be very intentional about your environment. So in our work with students, what I've seen is, right, you spend your time with your friends, with your family, maybe you have an older sibling. It's very important to surround yourself with people who will actually push you to grow. And even in thinking about moving, right, if you were to make a move, sometimes it's about those who are around us who have done it, that who push us to grow and to try something different. The next two things I'll say, one is don't underestimate the soft skills. So definitely, I think from the story that I just shared with you about my first job at the time, my resilience and EQ was a bit low and I wasn't very adaptable because after I had that incident, I just felt so embarrassed. I felt like I couldn't go back there. And I decided like to not continue with the job after 2 weeks, and I found another summer job elsewhere. But as Steph and Christian emphasize, EQ, resilience, adaptability, these really differentiate good candidates from great ones. And oftentimes in the interview itself, the HR is going to be asking you situational questions to understand like how would you react in a situation, right? So a lot of the questions are, tell me about a time when this happened to you, right? So, for me, if somebody asks me, tell me about a time when you made a mistake and how did you come back from it? I wouldn't be able to really share the story at Dairy Queen because that was not a good example of where those skills were strong. Finally, I would encourage you to think of yourself as a lifelong learner. So when I was in school, as much as I liked the school environment, I was really waiting for it to end. I wanted school to end and I wanted it to be done because I felt like there were just so many requirements, like homework, exams. I just did not like that rhythm. And that's why I actually went out and got a lot of internships. I wanted to see like what is it like to work in different places and to be in different environments. I know many of you are in the situation where you're entering your final year. Trust me, once you leave school, you will miss the environment. You'll not ever get to have a place where you get to be with your friends all the time. You don't really have to. I mean, you do have to show up for class, right? But you're not somewhere where you are having to, like, you can't be late, right, for work. Like there are many more requirements, and of course that's also a part of adulting, right? When you become adult, you get many more responsibilities. So sometimes when we leave the school environment, we don't think of ourselves as students anymore. Yeah. But what's really important today is you continue to think of yourself as a learner throughout your entire life. So the content that you're learning in school now, the students, maybe your younger sibling, right? 5 years from now, they will learn new content. And for you to stay competitive and for you to be adaptable, your ability to keep on learning is going to be your greatest asset. So even if our friends move away, we're no longer in the same Berkata anymore. What is really important for you is to keep that identity for yourself as a learner throughout your entire life. Okay, so now to the practical tips, like what should you do immediately next, right? So Edward mentioned that everyone here is enrolled in the employability program and is a part of your OJT. So please, please, please take that very seriously. As I mentioned earlier, investing in yourself now and having success in getting your first job will really set you up like in the right trajectory going forward. Start to look and apply for your first job and internship. So one of our team members here, she's specifically going to be looking to introduce job openings from our company partners to you in the next couple months. And for those of you who want to look for jobs immediately after graduation, that's what we're here to help you do. So this is not going to be the last that you'll hear from us. Like, we'll, come back and really help you with that process. And definitely what you learned today in terms of the CV, like strengthen your CV, maybe already start practicing for some of the interviews using the AI interview coach. And the other tip that I'll say is maybe you can start to think about building also an online profile professionally, whether that's a website and you don't have to have hosting. You can just use Canva, right? Or other ways to showcase your portfolio of projects and extracurricular that you've been a part of at the school. And then, of course, with your OJT and Career Development Office, they've partnered with us because we all want you to succeed. So there, I hope that was the 10-minute that I was given. And let me just close with this. So the Wadhwani Foundation is a NGO, and our mission is to really help young people like you build the skills and confidence to succeed in anything you want to succeed in. Your school, NEUST, very much has the same vision to produce graduates who are not just globally aware, but globally competitive. So thank you so much again, PageGroup, the NEUST leadership, and to all the students here. We really look forward in walking alongside with you in the next couple months, up until graduation, even in the month after, to help you succeed in your first job. Thank you so much, Maraming Salamat, and have a good rest of your afternoon.
Once again, that was Miss Angela Chen de Lantar, Vice President of the Wadhwani Skilling Network Philippines. Thank you kindly. Your heart and passion towards helping these young professionals is evident in what you've shared in your past, like your first job at Dairy Queen and in the event itself. But before we officially close and end the masterclass session, we'd like to have a quick photo shoot to commemorate what happened today. So go ahead, don't be shy, turn your cameras on and show those big and shiny smiles. Okay.
Can we move the share screen?
All right, okay. I'm going to be counting to 4. There's going to be a few batches of screenshots, but is everybody ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Next. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then last. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Once again, we'd like to take this time to thank you for participating. Keep learning, keep growing, and we look forward to seeing you in our future sessions. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Page Group.